Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scope. And now, here are your hosts, Jared, Adam, and Shane.
Hey everybody, welcome. It is episode 311 of The Scope. It's been a long time. I think it's been about 2 months. What do you guys think of that?
We're not doing a 311 tribute in this episode?
Should we?
Nebraska's own?
I'm going to be on the cruise, of course.
There's a 311 cruise?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I could imagine that being quite an event. They could play all their hit song.
They had more than one.
I know.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been before Christmas since we've convened. And,
our last
technical gremlins are at an all-time high.
Jared is on fire. I'm just letting everyone know right now, if he comes across a little cranky, that's the reason. Technical challenges are not his favorite thing, but he's going to soldier on, is he not?
I had no gray in my beard prior to firing up the Zoom session. And
no gray at all. You were pristine.
Sprouting like wildfire. I don't know. Does wildfire sprout? Is that a crop? Is it a cash crop? It might be in Ukraine these days.
Adam actually got less gray as the technical challenges went on. It's sort of like he took all of his and put it over onto you.
Watching Elden Ring video. Other people play Elden Ring, so it de-ages me, the stress that those people are feeling.
Are these YouTube videos or live streams or combo?
Just everything. As much Elden Ring content as I can possibly absorb.
Is there an Elden Ring TikTok? Is that a thing?
As a 40-something, I don't know what TikTok is, and I don't think I'm allowed to install it.
Never.
That is the correct response.
Adam, I've got to ask you, I have never played Elden Ring. I've never played any of those. For people that don't know, Elden Ring is that like part of a series of very, very challenging video games that people really seem to get off on in a weird way. I've never played any of those. Can you explain it to me in a little bit more detail? And have you played them, and are they worth the hype?
I haven't played all of them. I'll say, as an adult with a child, the gaming time is at a premium. And I don't think that playing a game that you might not beat is necessarily something I want to do. But yes, they're hard games. And I've played Bloodborne, which I hated. It's like this gothic style. It's just depressing. Mm-hmm. But then I played the Demon's Souls PS5 remake, Demon's Souls, because for a while I think that was like the only exclusive, actual PS5 game. And it was a beautiful game. I'm terrible at it because it's like a game like, do you remember when, what was that, Ninja Gaiden? Like for the Xbox, had a Shinobi Ninja Gaiden game. I think it was Ninja Gaiden.
It was probably that.
And no one could beat it. I couldn't get past the first level. Because it was like a game that rewarded, timing, parrying.
Who wants that?
Yeah.
$50 well spent. Can't beat that first level.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a game you were supposed to be able to parry and counter and read enemies' moves and dodge and whatever. So it's kind of that style of game, and I am either old and my reaction time is slow, or I've just never been able to manage it. Who knows?
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't go on the internet and say Demon's Souls PS5 easy mode. And in that game, anyway, it was you make a magic build, and so I was able to beat that game. So I was like the company's called From Software, so so only From game that I beat. This one, though, it's an open world game, and it's a RP, it's a role playing game, so you can level up and stuff. So I think to a certain degree, you can over level the content to make it easier for you. Right.
So is it true with this game, you really can't pause, and it's almost like there are these artificial barriers just to raise frustration levels?
Yeah, you can't pause. I don't know if that's that big of a deal though, because you don't have to be online.
Sure.
So yeah, this game also you get invaded. You can get invaded by randos on the internet, and they'll kill you.
Sounds great. I love randos on the internet.
And the thing about this game is like the XP that you're building up that you're going to spend to level up. If you die, you lose it. And you can get it back if you go back to your corpse and pick it back up. But if you die on the way back, you lose it all. And there's this push pull of like, I'm getting farther into this cave, dungeon, whatever. And I'm getting near the end of it. Look how much they're called. Runes. Look how many runes I have. Should I just bail and go away? And anytime you like go to the save zones, you
put it in my
all
treasure
the monsters
chest.
respawn.
Yeah.
So, or you keep going and great, you win or you get killed, and then you've lost all that experience. So it's a frustrating thing.
It does not sound like a game for me.
Yeah. So what I'll say is, in the county I live in, the library gets PS5 games. So I reserved it before it came out. They got 4 copies, and I was number 3 on the list. So I got it right when it came in. So I have zero financial commitment, which I feel like makes it better.
It's actually hard to get physical copies of games still?
No, this is just the library only like bought 4 copies.
Okay, sorry.
And so, like the wait list is like 800 or I don't know, some ridiculous number. But I had the foresight to put my name on the list months ago.
Good job.
Yeah, so I have 3 weeks to play it and decide if I ever want to buy it in the future.
Nice.
I love your dedication.
So this is part of a series of games? I guess I thought it was
or a style of game.
It's style, yeah. The from software, all their games are in the same manner.
okay.
This one is like written by George R.R. Martin. So like instead of finishing the Game of Thrones books, he's writing stories for video games.
It's overly long, that game, and then you also have to focus 95% of your time on the locals' food choices. Because apparently that's what all those novels are. Game of Thrones. It's just tons of talking about food and fabric
food
types.
And boiled leather and just all the world building you could ever want.
And then you lose your runes and then you die.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Wow. I'm going to say for free, for a 3-week trial period, I'd say it's worth it.
Hey, free is free, baby.
Yeah. If I spent $70 on it right now, I'd be annoyed because my backlog is full of games I could get, when they're on sale.
Right. Well, hey guys, newsflash: COVID is over, and war has begun.
What a world!
What a world, Jared. What do you think of all the stuff that's going on right now?
Boy, that's just an open question, isn't it?
I'm going to give you 4 hours to answer that question.
I don't mean, can you narrow it down to a topic or two?
Is COVID over? And where do you think the battle for Ukraine is going to go?
So on the COVID front, COVID is not over. COVID will never be over, and we're going to be stuck with it. But I don't know if you listened to the In the Bubble podcast. But
I have listened to it,
on the most recent episode on Wednesday, Andy Slavitt had on a doctor, I forget his name, but he sort of equated it to the pandemic is over when we decide it's over, in that there is a moment in time, and we may have reached that moment where just as a society, we're there's no stomach left, there's no patience, no will left to continue to fight it, and all preventative measures will just sort of fade away, and we'll just have to deal with it individually. He sort of cited that is what happened with the flu pandemic in the early 20th century. Like after a couple of years, people were just done with it, and there were still plenty of flare-ups years afterwards, but pretty much all of the social restrictions and any sort of preventative steps that municipalities had taken to prevent the spread of it just went away, and it was kind of left up to individuals to do what they will to get through it. And I think that's kind of where we're at. Like, I mean, it is what it is. We just have to watch the numbers, watch the hospitalizations, follow the guidelines best we can. If it's going to be, most mask mandates have probably been lifted at this point. Vaccine mandates if they haven't been lifted, they've been challenged in the courts and defeated. So it's, if you want to get a vaccine, you can, but nobody's going to force you to anymore. Most businesses have started their return to the office plans. Mine is going to announce it as of this recording. It'll be tomorrow, which means in 30 days, they're going to start phasing people back into the office. Who knows what the world will look like in 30 days, but
right.
That's just kind of how it's going. Angela's employer is doing the same thing. So it's just, we're transitioning to the next phase of this, which is we've got vaccines in place that hopefully will help people prevent serious disease. It's not going to prevent you from catching it, unfortunately, because we've passed that window. We've got therapeutics in place. We've got testing in place, and it's just kind of back to the way it is. And yeah, that's where we're at with COVID.
Right. So Adam, what is your take on this? And in terms of what your behavior was before COVID, where is it right now?
My take is the same as Jared's.
Of course it is. Of course it is. You're smart.
You want me to be contrarian?
Please, Tucker. I want
COVID's fake. It never existed, and you guys are a bunch of libtard whiners.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's whatever. We can deal with it at this point. If things don't change, we can deal with it. And whatever. It's manageable.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a specter of long COVID out there. We just don't know. There's not enough information yet to understand whether or not, if you get it, what the 10-year prognosis is. It could be terrible. We don't know.
Yeah. I did read some interesting stuff about every year, X number or X percent of people that get the flu get long flu also. And I don't know if long COVID, right? We don't know. But I thought that was interesting. That was never something you ever heard of. I'd never heard of long flu or whatever they used to call it.
Perpetual flu.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's the thing I'm more intrigued about now is I read all these things about how all the mRNA work that got pumped into all of these different or all the money that got pumped in all these different mRNA companies is going to lead to a revolution in health and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
So that's cool. It seems like anytime you read a public health story, it's in 5 to 10 years, X.
We are going to cure cancer. It's right there, but never quite gets there. But maybe this will provide the breakthrough that we need.
Yeah.
Well, and there's already promising work being done on an HIV vaccine,
right?
Using mRNA technology. They've also said that as new strains of the COVID virus come forth, they can very quickly sequence that strain and start producing a vaccine within weeks. So,
yep,
there's that.
And the same people that wouldn't take it before still won't take it.
We're at a point where there's a chunk of society that has been totally brainwashed into hating vaccines and not trusting them, and they will never get the vaccine, and there's nothing we can do about it. We cannot change their mind. We're never going to reach herd immunity because of that. Yeah. We'll get to it regionally, and we'll get to it for periods of time as people who are vaccinated don't get sick or don't get very sick, and people who do catch it, who are unvaccinated and recover, will have however long that natural immunity lasts. We'll get those periods of herd immunity that maybe help us bridge these things. I don't know. We don't know how it's going to play out, but it is what it is. We've done as much as we can as a society. I think we're in the frozen state of the war where things are not going to change. And we're just how it is.
Right.
So it's becoming politically unpopular too. I think if Democrats want to try to win in the midterms, just not having these culture battles on the ballot is more advantageous to them. So despite the fact that we want them,
they want to win.
Well, there is that, but I think they want to, but I think there's a lot of people who are in very tough districts. So who knows?
So in terms of your behavior, Jared, your behavior, Adam, are you comfortable going to see movies? Are you comfortable going to restaurants? How do you think your mask wearing will go from here on out? Is it one of those things where we're still sort of coming out of the haze, and I'm sort of saying that voluntarily coming out of the haze, and and those things are still sort of up for debate, or do you find yourself thinking that, hey, maybe I can start doing some of these things, or have you already started doing some of these things?
Movie theaters, I think I would be comfortable going to. I'm not ready to spend a bunch of time in a restaurant or a bar. I'm not there yet. Mask wearing, still doing it. I've noticed that a lot of people aren't. So, I don't know. At some point it'll be like, I've never found them to be that difficult to deal with personally. So it's really not that big a deal, but there's the societal piece of it too. It's like, at some point it will start to feel like you're the outsider who is maybe not, you could probably give it up. And you maybe, I don't know. It just feels like there'll be a taboo against it at some point. I don't feel like we're there yet, but
at least not here.
It
but
could happen sooner than later.
Right. Regionally, or city by city, that could vary. Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Well, I'm back in the office as of 3 weeks ago.
Oh, so how's that been going?
It's been fine. I mean, so my company sent out numbers. So we have 97% vaccinated. I don't know. We said, or HR said that people that didn't get it would be let go before we return to the office. But then all the legal stuff around the, companies needing to mandate that seemed up in the air. So I don't know where that actually landed, but the last
our company
email
was the same way. They had when the mandate was in place, they're like, you got to get vaccinated or there'll be, you might face termination. And then the Supreme Court decision landed and the mandate went away. And then they were like, oh, never mind.
Just kidding, everyone.
I mean, they could have personally decided to do that, like just enforce it on their own. But I don't think most companies that are interested in being competitive and retaining employees are going to do that. So,
yeah, I don't know if my company is interested in retaining employees either, though. But I mean, I'd say okay, so anyway, that was the number, 97%. That was vaccinated, and then it was like 85% vaccinated and boosted. So it's like, if there's like a safe workspace to be in, it's probably, mine, or I feel comfortable anyway being there. I'd say 1% of the people in the office are wearing masks. And
1%, huh?
So it's like 400 employees. That'd be 4, maybe 3%.
Okay,
so it's a very small number. And I did for the first 2 days, talking to my wife and everything, just to like her comfort levels and everything. And after that, I was talking to her about it, and I was like, we already have, exposures through, for our son through daycare and everything.
That's definitely the more dangerous vector for sure, or the more likely vector.
We have they reconfigured all the desks at my office, so there is a large amount of space between everyone. I was like, I think I'm just gonna not wear the mask anymore. And she was fine with that. And so
have they set up any hotel cubes or hotel offices? That's the new term, by the way.
No, because my company has no work from home policy, they have a work from home policy, and that is there is no remote work from home at my company, because I have a CEO that has very, old ideas about how a workplace should be.
How many people have been poached away to other companies because there is no remote
We had 100 people, literally 100 people. There's a 400 person company. It was 450, I think. And we're probably back close to 450 now. Anyway, we had 100 people leave from March to February. So March 2020 to February 2022. So a quarter. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of churn. Jeez.
Yeah, and a lot of them were development. They're QA and devs and everything. We don't pay all that much, it's like okay, but it's not good. And we have a CEO who says no, we will not allow remote work. You can work from home now and then or whatever, but you can't be permanently remote.
Yeah.
And people,
you're not getting 2 or 3 days a week working from home. No.
And it's like everyone's getting calls from Facebook and Google and Amazon, and they're all saying, "Yeah, we'll pay you double, probably what my company's currently paying, and it's remote." And a lot of people are like, "All right, cool.
Yep,
sounds good to me."
Smell you later.
So I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what our long-term whatevers are.
just
like the numbers are there.
You'll burn through all the junior developers who need that first gig on their resume, and then.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are a lot of young people. I learned what POG means. I think I learned it. They were explaining it to me. I still don't really understand it, but young people say POG now. It means like cool. It's like.
Yeah, it's
cool.
not about how Alf is back in POG form?
No.
Okay.
If I had made that joke,
now that awkward
I would have had to
conversation I had makes a lot more sense.
You'd have to explain The Simpsons, Elf, and Pogs.
and POGs, yes.
All of them.
And just the 90s in general, and
Right.
POGs being back, and then the character of Milhouse. It's too much.
It's a lot.
It makes me
lot of-
sad that Adam is talking about young people when I've always considered Adam to be the young person in our group. So
not
apparently
anymore.
we're like grandparents, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling you, I got bad ankles and my fingers are stiff and sore.
Yep.
We're old now.
Well, this has turned into a very positive conversation.
We haven't even talked about the war.
Yeah, I think we're going to skip that. I think we're going to have to table some of these opening segment conversations for next week, and let's get on to a little bit more of an enjoyable topic. Got a brand new scope bit coming up where we have to make the ultimate decisions on some very important pop culture items. I will say no more until we get into it. We've got coming soon. We love that Adam breaks down all of the pop culture stuff. And it's all POG, from what I understand. See how I use that there, Adam?
Yeah. I just to be clear, I don't know if you used it correctly.
I don't either. I felt like an idiot saying it. But it's great to be back. It's been 2+ months. It's a new year. It's a new scope. Same old host. So we'll be back in just a minute with more of episode 311 right after this.
I don't have any fader control, so I'm just going to stop it. Hey, folks, this is the Patreon plug that we always do. You want to support the show? Consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/thescopeshow. I know. Usually there's a music bed here. Just deal with it. I'm just talking now. You can pledge as little as $1 per episode. You know what's nice, though? I don't have to worry about when the music's going to run out. I can vamp as long as I want to. That's the fun part of this. You can set a monthly cap. You can cancel anytime. In fact, I should probably rewrite this sentence because I don't think Patreon functions that way anymore. $1 an episode, I know that much. Monthly cap, not so much. Don't know. Gonna have to brush up on Patreon. Patreon helps you support creators directly, and your support means we can continue to make this show for you on a semi-regular basis. You know, we took a couple months off. It's the holidays. It's cold. We dealt with it. COVID was a thing. It's still a thing. Maybe. I don't know. You listen to the A Block. Is it a thing? Chime in. Let us know. You can visit patreon.com/thescopeshow for more information, where we will help you entertain yourself during these dark, dark times. It's not just COVID that's out there, folks. There's a lot of terrible things in the world. You know, it's not terrible, though. That small monthly contribution you can give to the scope. Again, I have no music. I have no internal timer to tell me when to stop. I could go on forever and ever. I could just look at Adam drinking a cocktail with, does he have the special round ice? Is that what I'm seeing? Look at that. Is it Death Star or just a sphere?
Nah, just a sphere.
See, I got Adam in on the plug now. Patreon.com/thescopeshow for more information. Where is the button I want to hit? Here it is.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 311 of The Scope. Jared, Adam, and Shane in the house. That's me.
This is one of those old clips that I built the ramp into it.
I love it,
Fade
Jared.
it out. It just goes down. We call that
Just-
ducking. I just hit my microphone for the
Terrible
people at home.
mic technique.
The people listening only.
I love it. Perfect
All right.
ending. I'm going to let it fade. On today's show, brand new bit, brand new segment. I'm calling it's a play on words. The youngsters that you work with, Adam, are not going to know this, but I'm calling it Scopie's Choice. You get it? So have you ever been faced with an impossible choice? Our new game, like I said, thank you. It's called Scopie's Choice, loosely based on it's a fictional movie, by the way, Jared. Meryl Streep movie, Sophie's Choice, came out in 1982. but ours
I've
doesn't.
never seen that movie.
I've only seen the
I
clip.
know the title as in pop culture or in society as it's meant to like connote, but I don't really know what the movie's about.
Well,
Can you explain it to me in 30 words or less?
Here, wait. It's the original. It's the original Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh, is it?
It sort of is, except you're dealing with World War II and Nazis.
Is that what Sophie's Choice is about?
Yeah. So
I feel like I should probably see it then because I'm a big history guy.
Yeah. Well, it's fictional, but the story is that a woman who,
Shane, how dare you? World War II and the Holocaust happened. It's not fictional.
Oh my God.
Here we go again. Denying it.
Here we go again.
It.
You caught me in a trap. Essentially, Sophie's got 2 children, and she has to pick one to live and one to die. One stays with her, one is taken away and off to a concentration camp and killed. So it's the ultimate choice. And obviously, it's not a really happy film.
No.
It's not a laugh riot. It's not a Cable Guy. It's not a Talladega Nights.
Oh,
it's serious, Jared.
It's been a while since I've seen Talladega Nights.
It's not a Blues Brothers. It's not anything like that. It's serious business.
Not available on any streaming service except that you want to pay for it, which I don't. I just want to.
Jared does not want to pay for it. Adam, that's got to be a highlight of your collection, right? You have that Sophie's Choice movie.
Yeah, the director's cut.
Mm-hmm. He's got it all.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
he's got
the
it
one
all.
where they insert a laugh track. It's not appropriate, but
no, it's strange, and it's also strange that in 1982 your mom took you to that movie as a 2-year-old, and it sort of shaped your entire world view.
Yeah, I thought for the longest time The Princess Bride was the first movie she ever took me to, and it turns out I was way off.
Turns out it was Sophie's Choice. Your mom has very bad parental judgment, but. She's a huge Streep fan.
I think it was an implied threat. Like,
right.
She's like, "Hey, I'm going to have another kid, and then this is going to be you guys." So
it could be. You're laughing like
you're
Tom
both going to
Cruise.
have to win my love because at some point I'm going to make a choice.
Yep.
Well, we don't have to make that hard of a choice today.
Okay,
but
good.
I am going to ask the hard-hitting question: which of the from a list of 3 classic cartoons does one hit the road? And I've done my homework. I've picked 3 cartoons that I'm hopeful will be meaningful to each of you and to myself. And then we've got sort of like the grand finale of cartoons where we'll all make a decision together. And on the fly, I have a special category not related to cartoons that we're going to tackle just because I think it's very apropos for this episode.
Jeez, just big words he's throwing.
I know. I'm going big. So, Jared, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, okay.
I've got 3 cartoons that you may have watched as a child, and obviously all of these are going to be 80s and 90s. One of these I know to be one of your favorites, so you're probably going to save this one, but the other 2 we're going to have to see.
Okay.
So I'm giving you Thundercats, Silverhawks, and Jason the Wheeled Warriors. And why don't you explain, give a quick summary of each of those as you're sort of working through your thought process.
What am I doing now?
No, you're picking the one cartoon to go. You're setting one on that train.
2 get to stay. 1 gets to go.
1 gets to go. I didn't want to do either or. I wanted to make it a little bit more complicated.
So we got Thundercats, Silverhawks, Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
And you've talked about Jason the Wheeled Warriors being one of your childhood jams. So I'm assuming Jace gets to stay, but I don't know. Talk me through it, would you?
So I think Thundercats is the easy one to stay. Thundercats has, I don't even know, was it 1 season, 2 seasons? I know that
it was 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Long seasons. Though.
Children's cartoons they're long seasons, and you never know if they're 1 season or if you just watched them for an entire year and it was nothing but new episodes, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I think I enjoyed Thundercats quite a bit.
And that show was essentially what? What was that show? Space cats fighting space
from a cat planet. I don't remember. They're traveling somewhere, and then they crash land on another planet, and they're being chased by frog people,
mutants, and a big zombie creature called Mumra.
Well, Mumra was on the planet they crashed on. They like the bad guys, the bad mutants, somehow disturbed this mummy guy and brought him back to life.
Right, and this mummy guy wants the cat dead. The cat's dead, and he wants their special sword.
Yeah, it's
a problem we all face in life. I mean, it's a common thing.
Yes, it's like me. It's like when I'm at the state fair and I need a Pronto pup. I'm pretty much Mumra on the hunt.
If you've never seen the show before and you're hearing the description and you didn't know they're anthropomorphized, and you're just
there's that.
they're just 5 space cats, like nine cats.
No.
5 of them.
That would be interesting. No, these are anthropomorphic cats.
Yeah.
There's Lion-O, there's Pumra, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tigra, Chitara, Wily Kit, Wily Cat. And then they had their little demon thing, Snarf.
They're Orko.
They're Orko. And then into the second season.
Was this a Filmation thing or was this Deke? I forget. Doesn't matter. We're talking an awful lot about that.
It was Rankin Bass.
Rankin Bass, sure. Thundercats has been revived a couple times in the subsequent decades.
Mm-hmm.
I watched was it Cartoon Network that had it? Or was it Sci-Fi? I forget. Had like a season and a half that I thought was really good, but it got
Cartoon
canceled.
Network.
It didn't last. There was a more younger styled one that was on Netflix, I think, that I never bothered to watch because it didn't interest me. But I did like the idea of Thundercats. I watched it quite a bit. In the same vein, you have Silverhawks, which are, I believe, warriors from Earth who were somehow clad in silver bird armor.
Another thing we can all relate to.
I forget the exact origin, but there's like 5 of them, and they all fly around in a special hawk ship, piloted by a space bird with an electric guitar.
And they all had their own hawk, right?
They all
their own special hawk.
Was there just one hawk?
No, I think they all had their own.
Maybe they all had their own ones.
I think one of them was called Tally Hawk or something like that.
I think you're right about that.
Tally Hawk. What?
I remember watching this and liking it, but it's not something I necessarily maybe had a super fondness for. Jason, go ahead.
I was going to say, keep in mind that Silverhawks was done by the same company that did Thundercats. It was like a sequel, not a sequel, but it was like, hey, we're riding this Thundercats train.
Right.
It's got to work. It's got to work for space birds too.
You like anthropomorphic cats? Well, we got anthropomorphic sort of birds. They're not actually birds. They're just humans, but with bird armor. And yeah, kids will like it. We'll sell toys. It's awesome.
Right.
And then you've got Jason the Wheeled Warriors. This is, I'm not sure the origins of this, but how do you explain this one?
That's like plant cars.
So there's Jace, who's very much a Luke Skywalker type. There's a lot of like Star Wars ideas in this. There's the young boy on the hero's quest, who's lost his father. You've got the wizard character. You've got the Han Solo type, who's the devil may care rogue in his spaceship. You've got like these Star Wars tropes, right? And they I forget the origins of these. I think maybe Jace's dad maybe developed them, but they've got these vehicles. Like there's like 5 or 6 vehicles. Every character has their own metal vehicle, and it's like a 4-wheeled vehicle that has some sort of special weapon attachment to it, right? Attachment. I don't know why I said it that way.
Attachment.
And then on the bad guys, you've got crap. What are they called? Do you remember what they're called? They're plants and weeds.
The good guys were called the Lightning League.
Lightning League, that's it.
The bad guys were called. Oh, I'm trying to think of the opening
They had a very
credits.
specific name, and I forgot what it was.
Anyway,
they're basically plant creatures that then morphed into plant vehicles. Not exactly sure how those mechanics worked.
They're called the Monster Minds.
Monster Minds, yep, that's it.
Monster Minds.
So it's kind of similar to Thundercats, and I don't remember what the bad guys on the Silverhawks were, but you've got humans with clean metal vehicles, and you've got the gross mutant plant things, and then they're probably questing for something. I forget what it is, and they would battle, of course, and they'd have it was fun. I thought the vehicles are really cool, and I sort of vibed with the whole Star Wars-esque type of characters, archetypes that we were dealing with. So I think for me, the Scopie's choice. I'm sending Silverhawks to the blazing fires. The blazing fires of Elden Ring? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Can you play some sort of music or a buzzer for Silverhawks?
I can do.
There we
Bye,
go.
Silverhawks. Sorry, we spent a lot of time talking about that one, but
Well, I think your analysis is beautiful. I think Adam is sad. He's sort of hunched over.
Thank you, Jared.
I think I hear my child still awake at 8:15. So.
Oh no,
that's bad.
Well, I can take the next round if you need to get up and leave.
Oh, I'm I'm off.
He
I'm
never
off
takes.
the
He
clock.
never takes care. He never takes care of that.
It's in the morning that
Obviously.
I'm.
Your morning guy. Well, Adam, I'm going to let you, since I'm going to do these in sort of chronological order in terms of when they were released. I'm going to take the next set. And here are my choices. And this is truly a difficult decision for me. We're going to start with one of my favorite toy lines from a cartoon ever. We're doing Mask. And we've talked about Mask. Mask is Mobile Armored Strike Command. It's essentially Transformers, but instead of it robots, it's vehicles that turn into other vehicles, and the pilots of those vehicles have masks with superpowers that allow them to do some crazy things. Not
command with a K.
With a K. The second cartoon I'm going to be picking is Voltron.
Oh.
Now, Voltron, even people that don't know 80s cartoons very well would know what Voltron is. It is a Japanese anime that was brought over. It was two different Japanese anime that were brought over, merged into one mega cartoon, but essentially it is the Voltron that people know is there are these 5 robot lions piloted by spacecats, and these 5
spacecats.
These 5 lions will merge into one giant robot called Voltron, and then they will fight giant monsters and eventually slice them down with their blazing sword.
Revived several times, most notably recently on Netflix in a 7 or 8 season long series. I mean, their seasons are much shorter, but yeah.
I would say that probably out of all of the cartoons that we've talked about so far, that Voltron maybe is the one that sort of had the most legs, and it's been referenced in music. It's constantly referenced, like in Family Guy and all these other shows. It's never really went away.
Obviously, this will be the one you're axing, but go ahead.
And then finally, this next one is going to be even more difficult for me to talk about because it's Robotech, which is my favorite cartoon of all time. It's got some parallels with Voltron because it is another series that was brought over from Japan. It was 3 different animes brought together, rewritten, put into a big mega story. And essentially it's a giant alien spaceship crash lands on Earth. The Earth people unite, rebuild this ship, and take the technology to create these really cool transforming planes that turn into robots, knowing that the alien ship, the people that originally owned that alien ship are coming to get it, and there's going to be a lot of war and a lot of craziness. Robotech is known for being pretty serious. The subject matter that the original anime that it was created from had a lot of heavy themes, like it showed, death and war and consequence, whereas most cartoons in the 80s did not. So it resonated differently. Unfortunately, it never really went beyond those 3 shows that were brought together. It was a flash in the pan, although people like me have still love it, and will still buy a toy or a comic book related to it. But that was probably my all-time favorite cartoon growing up. So immediately I have to say that Robotech gets the pass just because it was so different in terms of what an 80s cartoon was. So that leaves Mask and Voltron. Mask, my favorite toy line. It was done by Kenner, and it was the action figures were smaller than Star Wars. So you could have these tiny, like 2.5-inch action figures that would fit into these vehicles that were not terribly big, but really reflected what you saw in the cartoon. The cartoon itself was sort of stupid. I mean, it was not great.
What was the boys and the robot?
Scott and T-Bob. Yeah, they sort of had their Oracle was Scott and T-Bob, and they were Scott was the son of the main character. T-Bob was a robot, a really goofy robot that was sort of a mix between R2-D2 and C-3PO, and he turned from a robot into a scooter. And of course, Scott and T-Bob would get into all sorts of trouble when the mask guys were fighting the bad guys, and they had to be rescued. And then we have Voltron. We have Voltron, which, as we said, is sort of ubiquitous with the 5 individual vehicles that come together to create a giant fighting machine. Really, really cool, and it kind of kicked off the anime explosion of the 80s. There were things before that, but I think it all sort of started in earnest when Voltron came around. So sadly, since we're talking cartoons and not toys, I think on my side, Mask has to go. That is my Scopie's choice. Goodbye, Mask. Jared,
That's the right choice.
booted it. Thank you very much.
Tell you've
Shane, reminded me that I've never seen the entirety of Robotech, and a few years back I did start running through because I think at least at the time it was all on Netflix. I'm not sure if it still is.
It's gone now.
But is it?
Yep.
Dang it! I was still like 15 episodes short of finishing the third series of it.
But you kind of liked it, right? I mean,
I just like it was a lot.
Yeah,
like I thought the first series is great. The second series is like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's sort of weird.
You just have to get through it, and the third one was like very different because it's like
I love
it's a bunch of like rebel, like out, people on Earth who are insurgent.
Robotech was weird because it was 3 different series, and after the first series was done, the second series comes, and there's nobody from the first series. They're all gone, and it literally there's sort of a transition, but it's back. I remember it being a kid in 1985. It was really confusing. Like, hey, where's Rick Hunter? Where's Min May? They're all gone, and now you've got these other people. And then the show does it again with the third series. I mean, they may reference some of these characters, but it's all different. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But at the same time, it was sort of complex and interesting, and it had a continuing story that pretty much went all the way through, which was unusual for cartoons of the time.
Yeah.
Adam, so I'm
I have
hoping...
a guess. Hold on. First, I'm going to guess the 3 that you picked for me.
Okay. I thought really hard about this, so I'm really curious to hear what you say. What do you think the picks are?
Okay, this is hard. These are hard, but I was not paying attention to either of you guys, and I was just trying to come up with these.
That's fair.
All right, so first,
yes,
this one I'm sure you did. The real Ghostbusters.
That is true. That is on my list. Yes,
is it really?
It really is on my list. Yes.
These are all jokes. The Snorks.
No, Snorks are not there.
And the short-lived Beetlejuice cartoon.
No, I wouldn't. I tried to stick to classics, but the real Ghostbusters, that seems to be a show that people still talk about. Really, people love Ghostbusters. And I pick shows that were a little bit older because you are, 6 years younger than us. So you're probably not going to remember when some of these cartoons were on TV. But Real Ghostbusters was late 80s, so I figured you would know that. The second thing that I'm picking is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I feel like you definitely probably played with those toys as a kid and watched that cartoon. And then the third is the first Disney afternoon program, DuckTales. Because I figured that would be a show that you would watch as well.
Interesting choices.
So yeah, late 80s, early 90s. I hope I did you right, Adam.
Yeah.
Talk me through these shows and kick one to the curb.
Yeah, these are good picks.
Thank you.
So let's see. You went with Real Ghostbusters first. So the Real Ghostbusters. My recollection is that this was a Saturday morning cartoon, but that maybe is not true. But it was like
it was both. It started as a Saturday morning ABC show, then eventually it sort of went into syndication, and you could watch it both syndicated and on ABC.
Okay,
I did research for this. A lot of research.
Yeah, and
you watched Toy Galaxy.
Always, Jared. Always.
It was an extension of the Ghostbusters. I'm trying to remember how much I liked the Ghostbusters, the movie.
Yeah.
As a kid, I'm sure I liked it. I'm sure as a kid I was like, oh, cool, the giant marshmallow guy.
Yeah. I think you would have been 4 when it came out. I think Ghostbusters was 84. Right. So,
but we had HBO basically my entire 8 and up time frame. So, and my mom didn't ever pay attention to what I was watching. Yeah. So
parents were so good back then.
Yeah. So, and I did see Ghostbusters 2 in the movie theater. But I probably saw that one more. Anyway, Slimer's in it. And he's a good guy. That's like where I guess the origin of Slimer as a good guy comes from. There was a toy line. The toys are kind of cool. Egon had a cool hairdo.
Yeah, he did crazy hair.
Very cartoonified versions of the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah. The name, I always was confused about it as a kid, and then later learned that it's because there was another cartoon called Ghost Space Busters or whatever. So they had
we may have talked about that on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it's like basically they set the precedent that then Donald Trump followed by putting real in front
Yes.
of your name, and then people know, oh, it's actually the real one.
Obviously.
It's just funny because it's like ostensibly a children's program that they had to clarify the name on there. So yeah, that was the real Ghostbusters. I remember watching it. I don't know how strong my affinity for it was, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
He's tipping his hand already, Joe.
Yeah.
Showing it a little bit.
You said TMNT next.
Yes.
Yeah. So I watched that show exclusively. It was my.
So that one you've seen it so much you don't even need to say it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like. That was an after-school show. Maybe it was a Saturday show too. But I remember coming home from school.
It was both too. That was another show that started syndicated and then eventually was on Saturday mornings.
That's right. Yeah, it was like Fox. One of their morning thing maybe. But that probably happened maybe as I was getting out of it. But that was a show that spoke to me. You know, I mean, obviously I'm a Raph guy. I'm sure you guys. You could have picked that out.
Gruff and rough around the edges.
Yeah, well, cartoon Raph, not first movie Raph, who's like emo more than
he's great.
Sarcastic. But the ability for them to make so many villains on that show, I thought was just the coolest thing because it was like felt like every week there was a new one. I'm sure in reality it was like just Baxter Stockman, a lot of Baxter Stockman, and occasionally the Rat King, and then Krang and Big Body Krang. But then it's like all the arcade games that supported it. The awful NES game, with that one level that no one beat, the water level. Yeah. Oh, and then the toys. So I didn't have the pizza, the van that shot pizzas, but one of my friends did. And that was like one of those where it's like the very first time I played with him with it. After he'd had it for a day, all the pizzas were gone. Like, they
did they ever sell refill pizzas?
They probably, they missed an opportunity if they didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that show. And then DuckTales. So DuckTales, I'd say, is the show that I watched the Disney Afternoon. Now, the Disney Afternoon in my town was Gummy Bears, Rescue Rangers, DuckTales, and then Darkwing Duck maybe at the beginning. And of those, I'd say DuckTales was easily my favorite. Once Tailspin got in there, maybe it switched over to Tailspin. Yeah, it's a classic. But I really like DuckTales. But I'm like, what did I like about it? I don't know. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They had colors that I couldn't see. So
he's like, they're all green. Every single one of those ducks have green outfits.
Why are there three of the same duck?
Yeah,
so confused.
They didn't have hats with letters on them or anything.
That was a very confusing cartoon for you.
Yeah, very.
It was very trippy and sort of scary. Yeah, 3 green ducks.
It's like twin magic when they do that in wrestling. When they switch, but these guys have triplet magic. It's even better. Let's see. So the thing that sticks out to me the most is not the cartoon. Well, I guess it is, but the NES game where you play Scrooge and you bounce on your pogo stick, and that was a great game. Maybe the best licensed game of all time.
They had a great movie too.
They did have a really good movie. Yes.
What was that movie called? DuckTales movie?
DuckTales the movie. I don't know.
Let's look it up.
It's funny. As you said it, I was like, they go around the world. And I'm like, no, that's the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. So now I don't know what the plot is of that movie. I mean, they probably go around the world, right?
It was called DuckTales and the Treasure of the Lost Lamp. They were looking for a genie lamp.
A genie.
All right.
I like that. I like that show. And then this is also the show.
Can I interrupt for a second, Adam? All of those Disney Afternoon games on the NES, those were highlights for the system. The Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was a great one, and people remember those fondly. I'm sure they probably go for a pretty penny, especially complete right now. That's
also back in the day where like Genesis, well, I guess Master System doesn't really count in the US, but anyway, like SNES and Genesis games of the same game were completely different.
Right.
It's a wild time. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, DuckTales. I wish that I could have gotten into the recent-ish reboot. I don't know what that's on, but Netflix
like the
or something.
Disney Kids or whatever.
Yeah, the one that Danny Pudi does a voice for.
Yeah. This one's got Donald, like features Donald Duck heavily, and
yeah,
it's a little bit different than the.
I read a review.
The original one, Donald Duck's just an absentee father.
I think he popped up every once in a while.
Wait, but I'm pretty sure they call him Uncle Donald also, right? The three boys don't have a dad or a mom. It's classic Disney
right
child relationships. So I read a thing about the newer series, comparing it to Doctor Who, a show I've never seen. And I was like, oh, instead of having to watch 85 seasons of Doctor Who, I'll just watch this new DuckTales. So I got access to all of them and didn't watch a single one of them, but they're all in my Plex library. So set there. So anyway, so to make a long story short, I'm going to get rid of the real Ghostbusters, because as we all know,
Ghostbusters gone.
I'm a 1979 OG Ghostbusters fan from ABC.
I love it.
CBS, 1975 CBS.
He got the date wrong and he got the network wrong.
Par for the course.
For the course. Well, that leaves our group decision.
Oh.
And you can tell by the initial list that I gave you.
Hold on.
Oh.
Sorry, Ghostbusters. You're out.
Ghostbusters gone. Adam ain't afraid no ghost. He just doesn't want him here.
Or I am afraid of ghosts. And I don't want
maybe
to see
maybe he's scared of ghosts. I don't know. So you can tell by the original 3 lists for each of us that there are some big name cartoons missing. So I figured we could go through these together and send one packing. Of course, you cannot have a commentary about 80s cartoons without He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Probably the original licensed cartoon that sort of kicked off the toy line meets cartoon meets brainwashing of children.
Yep.
And He-Man, certainly to this day, I mean, there's currently 2 He-Man cartoons going on Netflix right now.
He-Men.
He-Men.
Or He's Man.
He's Man.
That's
Thank
the
you.
plural of, yeah.
One of them should have been called Tila, the series.
Our second
He-Man.
Our second is a real American hero. We're talking G.I. Joe. Again, another license that's still kicking around, not maybe quite to the level of He-Man. And then our final pick is going to be Transformers, which is probably the biggest property of them all. I mean, the toy aisles are full of these transforming robots. There's a number of cartoons out there, more coming. But we're talking about the original 1984-85. And same with G.I. Joe, that's 84-85. Actually, may have started in 83. And He-Man, I believe, was syndicated in 83 and went for a couple of years. So this is a tough decision.
It is
Go
tough
ahead,
because viewing it through the lens of adulthood, they are all terrible.
They're not great.
They're bad. They're just bad shows. I guess you could make that case about any of these shows we've talked about for the most part, but they're really not good. I mean, I can understand watching them with nostalgia, maybe, but I've tried and not found any of them enjoyable in any sense. So,
right.
But that's not necessarily what we're judging it on.
Right.
We are making a tough decision to boot one from existence. We will never have known that it was even around. I'm assuming that's the fate, right?
Yep, it's literally we wipe it from the collective knowledge of the world, and that's that.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, what do you agree with Jared in the sense of they're all bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all bad. All impossible to watch.
I bet if you watch them, there's a lot of problematic stuff.
Probably.
And yes, like
Megatron,
you can go back
famously a gay basher.
Right. Yeah.
You can. It's like if we're just talking about the cartoons, you can go back and look at the very bad quality of Transformers. Especially that season 1, it was just not done well, and color or whatever palette swapping, and colors were bad on a bunch of them.
Yep.
The stories, I don't know if they're interesting. I mean, okay, that one G.I. Joe episode where Shipwreck wakes up and he's like he's like small and he's in a giant land. He's like turned into a toy or something. That one had a good story.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, not so much. He-Man's probably the worst if we're just talking about the original series, like it was made to sell toys.
Right.
It's like, if you want to look at it from that perspective, it was the most cynical of all of them. I don't know if that matters, but that sticks out to me. I mean, one thing I'll say, if this exercise is the thing never existed, like we're going back and erasing
I just
it.
made that up.
Well, I think I like that, but then that means
Adam loves that hard line right there.
We've already erased Mask from history. If we also erase Transformers, are there no transforming toys? Like, we got rid of the two big, transforming toy shows. That seems like something we shouldn't do.
Yeah, like we have a responsibility to the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, wait, guys, we're okay. GoBots would still exist, I guess.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Or GoBots wouldn't exist because they wouldn't have Transformers to rip off.
Correct.
So maybe GoBots doesn't
probably
exist.
would not have happened.
Even though in America, GoBots came first.
Yeah, whatever.
That is true.
It's confusing.
So that makes it hard for me. I think I know my answer, but I'll let you guys.
And I think as I look at that list, we've got two properties, G.I. Joe and Transformers, that sort of are cut from the same cloth. They're Hasbro. They both had Marvel comic book adaptations. They were advertised on TV using, animation that was similar to the cartoons. I mean, there's just a lot of synergy going on. And He-Man sort of existed on its own. It was a Conan the Barbarian ripoff in a lot of ways. Adam talked about the quality of these shows, and Transformers had problems, but it seemed like every single He-Man episode used the same 4 or 5 different animation sequences to show, He-Man jumps from a tall cliff and falls and stands up. He punches the screen.
Yep.
He might swing the sword the same way. I mean, it literally was reused after reused animation.
Don't forget the end of every episode where they like freeze framed laughed.
Yeah. I mean, it was like sitcom tropes in animation form. It was crazy. And if you were to look around in my office right now, you would see a lot of G.I. Joe toys. You would see a lot of Transformers toys, but you would not see one He-Man figure. Take that for what it's worth. I've got my pick.
I think I've narrowed it down as well. For me, Transformers is a lock, but just simply because I have specific memories of seeing Transformers cartoon episodes and then talking about them with my friend Mickey at school.
We need to get Mickey on the show.
I don't know where Mickey is. I've tried to track him down, but I don't know where he is these days.
He's probably in Cybertron.
Elementary school days. And you look back at the show now through adult eyes, it's terrible. But just as a kid, it was incredible. Like when the Dinobots showed up. My God, this is amazing. There's dinosaur robots. This is
the Aerobots, Jared.
All these things were fantastic. And I could never afford most of the things I had.
Yeah.
Definitely had Transformers toys, but most of them were economical versions.
Jared had one Constructicon, and he just pretended like he could turn it into. It was like he would just turn it into a leg and walk around.
I had none
he had
of
the
the
torso.
combiners. I didn't have any combiners at all. And like you, Shane, too, I have had a lot of G.I. Joe toys.
Yeah.
And I still have some in a box somewhere, like originals, and some remakes too, but no He-Man toys. Never bought a He-Man toy.
Yeah, I only owned He-Man back when it came out, and that was it. Never another toy.
I always thought they were kind of ridiculous looking too.
Yeah.
But I did watch the show for the most part.
Well, He-Man was the first. So before G.I. Joe, before Transformers, He-Man was the cool show. I mean, that's when the Reagan administration sort of lifted the guidelines in terms of what needs to be educational and what needs to be for entertainment. And for a good 6 years, toy companies had their way. But He-Man was the first, for sure. Well, I'm going to start it out by saying He-Man is my pick to hit the road. Adam, we're going to go to you next.
The toy argument, I just remembered there was a He-Man where you'd put one of those like pop cap Remember those guns, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But you'd put one of those little circle ones in the back of him, and when he like spin to do a swing, it would pop one of them. And I could never get it to work. So
my brain says that's Thunder Punch He-Man. That's what my brain says.
Oh, sounds about right.
Because my Thunder Punch He-Man never worked, I say, you're out of here, He-Man.
He-Man is gone. Jared, can we do a clean sweep?
It's a clean sweep. He-Man's out.
Clean
Sorry.
sweep. He-Man is out. Muscle Man gone.
Easy.
Wow.
Sorry, He-Man.
Yeah. That was a surprising sweep. I figured there'd be some dissension in the ranks, but
Are you guys concerned at all that we picked the one show with the most amount of near male nudity? Is that saying something about us?
It does say something. I'm just not sure what it is.
Okay.
Okay, one last bonus round. I know the show's running long, but I think we have to do this in honor of 311. We're going 311 songs. Let's start with All Mixed Up, Down, and Amber. Amber is the color of your energy. I don't want any debate. I just want to go around the room because I mean they're all classics, let's face it. Which one goes? Which two do you stay? Adam, we'll start with you.
Down. Down goes. The other two stays.
Down goes. Jared, what do you say?
Down is a fantastic song. Amber, in the color of your energy, is all right. All Mixed Up. I'm hearing it in my head, and I already hate myself for hearing it in my head. So get out of here.
And All Mixed Up. Back in the day, I liked Amber. I liked the slow vibe that did not seem typical of 311. So I'm going to keep that one. So it goes down to probably their two most classic songs, All Mixed Up and Down. I like sort of the aggressiveness of Down, and I'm going to get rid of All Mixed Up because it was weird and it needs to hit the road. So All Mixed Up. I was going to say something clever like All Gone Out. Uh-oh, there it is. This is costing us $10,000.
Cutting it
Patreon.
off before the YouTube version gets a copyright strike. Can't have
All
that.
Mixed Up is gone.
Now let's do Jamiroquai.
Yeah, gotta love that.
And then Amber, just give us 2 seconds of that.
I don't got to love that, Jared.
Do.
Just puts you in a mood, doesn't it?
It
Sounds
does
good.
really.
It could be a Maroon 5 song. You know,
It might be.
Or a Rob Thomas featuring Santana. Or Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
That's one of the biggest songs ever.
I know.
Ever. I'm not commenting on quality. I'm just saying it's one of the biggest songs ever. Well,
It's true.
This is Scopie's choice is something I can absolutely bring back, and I just might. This has been very, very exciting. Jared and Adam, thank you for participating.
You're welcome.
Listeners, thank you for putting up with us. I mean,
If we got it wrong, let us know. Comments at thescopeshow.com.
Comments at thescopeshow.com. If you don't care about cartoons, you'll like the next episode. That's all I've got to say. Let's take a break. We'll be back with Coming Soon and Adam's Time to Shine right after this.
There's more of the Scope dead ahead.
Under the Scope.
Yes, indeed, Under the Scope. And for all of your pop culture needs, here's Coming Soon. Adam, you're researched, you're ready. What is coming soon next week?
All right. So this is coming out, and today is the 14th when you're all listening to this, obviously on the first day. Now, last week, The Adam Project came out. That was a movie that came out. It's got my name in it. So
Is it your life story?
yeah, this is a movie that was in development hell for a long time.
It's the story of how your wife took you on and tried to shape you into the man that you would become.
Yes. Here's the premise. After accidentally crash landing in 2022, time-traveling fighter pilot Adam Reed teams up with his 12-year-old self on a mission to save the future.
Okay, I love this movie already. I've never heard of it, but time traveling and teaming up with yourself, nothing could go wrong, right? Nothing could go wrong, and it's just going to be a fun hootenanny.
As long as they don't have time cop rules and you can high-five yourself, you're fine.
Well, I'm a stickler for very clear and concrete time travel rules, so it would have to establish that very early in the movie and then stick to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So that was last week. This week we've got Cheaper by the Dozen on Disney Plus. So there's that.
I feel like that movie's been out a million times. What? Is this like a remake?
I don't know, probably.
Okay.
There's a movie called. This is like everyone's like, hey, you can start releasing movies again. Week. That's this week. The Outfit, which is I don't know, a movie that looks like it's something because it has an interesting cover, but I've never heard of it. Deep Water, which is that Ben Affleck movie. But they are, I don't know. It's a husband and wife that hate each other and they keep on doing bad things to each other.
You and I can relate to that, Adam. Hello.
My wife.
My wife.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of it's kind of a slow week. I mean, everyone's trying to get out of the way of Turning Red, the Pixar movie from last week too.
It's going to be interesting because I think all these movies that were filmed, like it's going to be like 3 people, and then all the other people to make big crowd scenes will be like computer animated, or everyone's like standing out in a park. That's an entire movie. We're just out in a park and we're spread out.
We watched a Bruce Willis movie at my friend Bad Movie gathering.
Was it Hudson Hawk?
And there's a movie where he interacts with no one. Like no actual scenes were filmed with him and anyone else, and they don't really try to hide it that much. Yeah, it's weird. So
Adam has this robust life outside of the scope.
No, I don't. Let's see.
Jared shook his head, by the way, when I said that.
So music, new album from a recent Saturday Night Live visitor, Charlie XCX. Cypress Hill has a new album coming out. We've all been waiting on that.
Okay, I've been waiting to jump around it some more. And
there you go.
that's actually House of Pain. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I'm insane.
Jared.
I'm insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
So a lot of problems with what Jared just did right there.
A similar time frame, Sonic Youth and Stabbing Westward also have albums coming out. So Weezer,
the 90s are back, baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weezer's said, or Rivers Cuomo said, we're going to have 4 albums this year. It's called Seasons.
Okay.
And it'll be coming out on the first day of each season or something like that. So March 20th, there's supposed to be a Weezer album. No one knows anything about it other than that's what Rivers.
It's just going to drop on the first day of spring.
I guess.
Okay.
Usually you release some songs ahead of time. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Give
singles,
us a heads up,
as it were.
That's not how it works anymore. You just drop it on Spotify and people listen.
That's true. Let's see. And then video games. Elden Ring came out, a couple weeks ago. That's kind of the big one. GTA 5 is getting its next gen release this week. PS5, Xbox Series X and S. That's the big one this week. Some anime games that I can't understand the name of. And then a bunch of just random WWE 2K22. People like those,
right?
WWE
I get it
games
every year. I get it every year.
Jared's going to be outside of GameStop very soon, waiting, queuing up, as they say.
It's one of the games I buy every year and never play. Strange.
One game
I would just throw money away.
Coming out at the end of this week, I'll just mention, is Stranger of Paradise: Final Fantasy Origin, which is a Final Fantasy game in the From Software, the Demons, Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring people, but with Final Fantasy characters. I don't know I don't get it. There's a free demo with like the first 30 levels or something on the stores, so you can check that out if you want.
It's good to know.
Yeah, that comes out on Friday, I think.
Nice, and that's it. He's covered everything. Well, quite a robust list. Jared, you said you're comfortable going to see movies, so this is your chance, dude.
I want to see the Batman. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Have you seen that, Adam?
It's been a while. It's been since the holidays since I've stress tested the bladder. So the Batman seems like the right one to jump back in on.
Yeah, I haven't been in a theater since movie of the pandemic, Fast 9.
Yeah, I mean,
it
keeps on giving, doesn't it?
Yep.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for that. Jared, let's wrap it up and wrap up the show.
Under the scope.
Funky Town.
Here we are.
Folks, it's the end of the show. It's time when we read your comments your critiques, your concerns. But we haven't had any since the holidays,
Right.
so
People will be giving us tips on mistletoe and candy canes, and
we've given you a lot to talk about and a lot to think about in this episode. From
we have.
where are we at with COVID? Are we done with it? Is it still going? Will it rear its ugly head again? Don't know. To which of these old cartoons should be excised from the collective history? Those two alone. Plus, world events. And whether or not you should support the show. Patreon.com. These are all questions that you can answer and only you can answer. And you can send those answers to comments@thescope.show. Or you can call the voicemail line at 612-21-SCOPE. That is 612-217-2673. I know. It's a tough time for phone calls. People don't like to make phone calls anymore. I think you can text message it too. Honestly, you can. It's a Google Voice number. It'll accept text. So if you feel like you want to text your comments to us, 612-217-2673. That's an option. I've never even mentioned that until now, but you can do it. Do it.
It's like the future.
Yeah. We're also out on Facebook and Twitter. Those links are at our website, thescopeshow.com. Not doing a lot of active posting on either one of those, though. The episodes go out and they get auto-posted there, but that's about it.
So mellow.
Put a lot of energy into this show talking about cartoons. If you want to watch the show, we have a YouTube channel. It is also... That link is on the scopeshow.com, or you can probably find the Scope podcast in YouTube. Maybe you'll find it. I don't know. I haven't searched for it in a while. Some of you like to watch the episodes, or just listen to the YouTube. That's an option too. I think a lot of podcasts are just on YouTube now because of the discoverability and the fact that it's just easy for people to play. So we do the same. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/The Scope Show. Get those pledges in now. Operators are standing by. Or if you want to shop at Amazon, we have a link, thescopeshow.com/Amazon. There's a link there. You click on it. Something happens. Can't say if you're supporting the show or not, but there might be some affiliate stuff going on. You know how that works, right? You're savvy. You're savvy people. That's all. Shane, back to you.
Fantastic. Well, it is nice to be back, gentlemen. It's been a long time. I am happy to ring in 2022. COVID's over, so party on, boys.
As you can tell, because we're all in the same room.
Party on. One of these days, I'm coming over to your house to record, Jared. That is
I know.
Just
I got
the way
to
it's
figure
gonna
out, I've said before, I got to figure out the logistics of the space now that it's been repurposed into other things.
Get it figured out.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, let's wrap this sucker up. So for Jared and Adam, I am Shane. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with 1 week with another episode of The Scope. Until then, bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment. And Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying, Auf Wiedersehen. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.
Boom.